Welcome back to Morning Live. For the past 2 years, Education Africa and the Sydenham Hebrew congregation have partnered to co-host the Sounds of Celebration concert in Johannesburg. The concert is an ensemble of young South Africans celebrating social cohesion through music. Well, this year's lineup includes marimba and the steel bands, gumbo dancers, a penny whistle ensemble, a male voice choir, and a special guest appearance by a Jewish singing sensation. Well, we do have the CEO, James Urdang, the CEO and founder of Education Africa, here in studio to tell us all about this amazing initiative. James, it's great to have you in studio. Thank you so much for making the time to come.
Good morning, Paul.
Gee whiz, 6 years down the line. Yeah. What's that been like for you guys?
Yeah, so for this specific project with Education Africa, Sydenham, Shul's been 6 years, but Education Africa has been around for close on 3 decades. And
yes.
Yeah, but it's really been good because I think it's important for social cohesion in our country. Everyone talks about sport, bringing people together, but music can do the same. And this concert does that. It brings over 180 kids on stage from different nationalities, different race groups, and they come together as one. And the racial barriers are dropped, and it's how these kids interact. It's absolutely amazing.
And looking back at the 6 years, of course, of this particular festival, what would you point out as just some of the highlights?
Well, I think the highlight for me is that it's been a fundraiser for Education Africa and our Marimba Hub. So from being very small in Marimba training in South Africa, we now, I would say, the biggest Marimba trainers in our 12 marimba hubs, which we're scaling now to 16 this year at disadvantaged schools. But I think what's also important, we're moving our 650 kids per week intake to 1,000 or 1,000 plus. So, and this is all being made possible by Sounds of Celebration.
Now, altogether, there'll be 150 performances. I mean, that is just insane. In the intro, I mentioned, just some of them, some of the bands that are involved. But who else can people look forward to seeing?
There's Moshe Lichtenstein, who's the guest appearance. He's a Jewish singer, obviously because the Jewish community with South African community being brought together under one umbrella with this. And we've got some Indian dancers, young guys who are absolutely awesome. And I think the one Scottish pipe and that sort of thing, which is very different. But I think what's going to be amazing and highlights for me, at stages you've got 60 people on marimbas, 60 young South Africans on marimbas. And yes, we've moved the 150 to over 180 on the stage.
Oh my goodness. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah. And we also got 3 public showings. So 2 of matinees for disadvantaged kids, and we bring in on Monday and Tuesday matinees, 1,000 kids to each performance, and then Tuesday evening at 7:45 at Empress Palace, we get 1,000 in the audience as well.
Now, when we look at these, nation-building, social cohesion building festivals and initiatives, a lot of the time funding does become a problem because you're obviously, taking in an entire community. And it can be a costly exercise. Are there any organizations, private or government, funding you guys or assisting you guys in any regard?
Yes, so for Sounds of Celebration, we have Investec, EDT, Blue Label, Emperors, and Ticket Pros and all those companies sponsoring us. And without them, we couldn't make it possible. And also the Beck Family Foundation, who helped initiate the project.
Now, the current focus of the project is, of course, ensuring sustainability and growth of the 12 existing Education Africa Marimba hubs. Give us more information about that.
So what we do in our Marimba hubs is that we either have them at a centre, for example, at one of the Boys and Girls Club centres, or we run them from specific schools. And what really is it, we start in one school or one community, and we then give access to other schools to it. And as the schools improve and we get more funding, we give those schools marimbas.
Wow.
So, for example, in Hammanskraal, we had 1 set of marimbas. Now we're putting in another 2 sets, so there'll be 3 schools. And one of those schools, which is very interesting, is Dominican School for the Deaf. And this is what we know of, the only deaf marimba band in the world. And we've got a very, very talented marimba teacher, Joan Lithgow. And she's pulled this together. Last year, towards the end of the year, they actually played on stage with Reicher Park and also Ladysmith Macbabazo. And to me, that was incredible that they had to follow by just hand movements and how they've learned, and how the other people in the band had to make sure they followed them. And it's amazing that they can't hear what they're playing.
Indeed, it's absolutely incredible. Now, I understand that 2 of the shows presented will be, presented to over 2,000 disadvantaged young people here in the Gauteng province. Tell us about that and how it's been organized.
Okay, so we, from our marimba hubs, which are disadvantaged schools, we bus in the kids, so we pay for that through the account sponsorships that we get. And we bus in 1,000 to tomorrow's show and 1,000 to Tuesday matinee show. And what's amazing is you speak to a lot of these kids, they've never been to a theatre. I mean, something that some of us take so for granted, that's so simple. But it takes them out of their communities. It shows them there is a little bit more out there, and it gets them excited, and hopefully excited enough for them to say, we want to play marimbas and we're going to play marimbas.
All right, we are out of time, but very quickly, how can people get involved and how can they just help further this amazing festival?
Okay, so one, they can get hold of Education Africa through our website at www.educationafrica.org, or they can go online and book tickets at ticketpro.coza. That's ticketpro.coza.
All right, James, thank you so much for your time this morning and all the best with the festival.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
Now, for the past 6 years, Education Africa, a non-government organization, has collaborated with Sydenham School in a unique partnership that uses music as its medium to uplift and inspire communities. Just spoke to